Hey guys, Marsingin here, bringing you another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so today I'm going to show off why the INT Piccolo Jr. is of course now the new best world tournament unit in the game. It is not even close. He just makes this mode absolutely ridiculous. Whilst of course we would love for them to actually make some proper changes to this game mode, because it sucks and everybody hates it. This guy makes it certainly a little bit less tedious, because you barely have to put any thought into playing this game mode anymore. Now, obviously, sometimes you can get bad luck, right, with your units on the starting rotation. You can see here we have both the Piccolos, so for the preliminaries, that's not the best, because obviously we do have to do more than one fight. If it was just, if it was any of the later fights, it wouldn't be so bad. Because obviously you only need to do one round anyway. So with Piccolo, obviously the big thing about him is that he does have an AoE active skill that can be activated when there are multiple enemies immediately. So obviously straight away on turn 1 for the World Tournament. And one thing you have to remember, so there are a couple of different ways that you can use this to your advantage to make sure you always clear all of the enemies. Because one of the things I have seen some people on Twitter, obviously people have been trying this guy out. This is Global's first world tournament where we've actually had Piccolo Jr. to use. And one of the things that you need to remember that is very, very important, when you look at his passive ability, he gets, whereabouts am I looking? It's like halfway down somewhere, right? Yeah, so plus an additional attack and defense 100%, and all enemies attack and defense minus 30% as the first attacker in the turn, plus an additional attack and defense 100% when performing a super attack, and high chance of launching additional super as the second or third attacker in the turn. So that 100% extra attack and defense, he will get that in slot 2 if you use the active skill in slot 2. So if you put him in slot 1, the active skill doesn't do as much damage, potentially. The other thing that will come into play later on is that the active skill, I'm not entirely sure why it works like this, but I've seen it happen in a fight where there were multiple physical enemies, where I could see the numbers, like, I mean, I guess it doesn't matter if they're physical, right? They just have to be the same typing. Where you could see the number going up every time, even though it was hitting enemies of the same typing. So with the way his active skill seems to work when it distributes the damage, is it does more damage with each enemy that it hits. So the first enemy, the one that you actually target when you do the active skill, they are the one that will take the least damage. So when you get into the final, where obviously on times 30, especially on the highest difficulty modifier, the final fight, the enemies are the toughest. And so this is where, apart from units like obviously LR Broly, because he had a double super, but I guess it does apply to his first super, times 30 final has always been the problem stage for some of these AoE units, where one super attack from them wouldn't necessarily kill all of the enemies. So like STR LR Broly, obviously he was the World Tournament killer for the longest possible time, but at various points before he got his EZA, and then obviously afterwards when other stronger AGL units started to come out, his first super attack wouldn't kill AGL units sometimes, unless you got a crit. But then, of course, he would back that up with a second super, which usually would be able to finish them off. But when it comes down to World Tournament units trying to determine which ones are the best, most people value speed of completing runs. So, obviously, having to get a second super means the run takes longer, and then you get less runs in as much time. Now, for most people, they don't really care about that, right? Like, unless you're really going for a crazy super high placement, you don't need to worry about like min-maxing your runs to take the shortest time possible. But one thing I will say is anyone who wants to like dip their toes into this mode, you do get a lot of really good points for rewards for getting to 30 million points. So ideally you want to get to 30 million points as quickly as possible, so that then you can just stop, right, and do something else. So using a good team, getting those runs beaten as quickly as possible is always going to be one of the easiest ways to do that. So And again, we got our Piccolo on the first turn. This is why I bring a Piccolo and then a Piccolo friend, just to obviously increase the chances that we are going to have a Piccolo on our first turn. Because remember, the World Tournament, you do not get the leader skill of the unit that you bring as a friend. So regardless of what team build you are bringing, you should be bringing Piccolo as a friend, right? Piccolo Jr. Now, one thing to bear in mind, of course, is you want to try and make sure that he can kill all the enemies. So you want to bring your leader as somebody who gives him the highest leader skill possible. So up until now, one of the most popular builds for the World Tournament has been to run the LR Physical Captain Ginyu, who obviously I do have on the team. Because not only is he an all-types leader, but he provides key support to extreme allies. But if you run him as a leader, he has a 120% all-types leader skill. So again, you're increasing your chances that when you get to times 30, you might not kill like a physical enemy with the active skill. So one thing I think is probably becoming a better way to do this now is to maximize the ability for Piccolo Jr. to do as much damage as possible by having a stronger leader skill. So I've even seen like a team build that somebody posted of using the STR LR Cooler as the leader, because he gives Piccolo 170, and then obviously the rest of the team is just other LRs that fit under Cooler's leader skill, because it's still the case that the more LRs you have on the team, the more points you get per run. Like if I wanted to really super optimize this team, I could take the STR Piccolo off and put on another LR. The only reason I have him on there is for those turns where, you know, I don't get either of the Piccolo Juniors on the first turn, but I get the STR Piccolo instead, because he is the next best AoE unit for the World Tournament, right? Creates orbs, does tons of damage, his super attack animation is really, really fast. I made a video from like the last World Tournament on Global, he was the best World Tournament unit. And now it is Piccolo Jr. So here we are in the final. So, I mean, because we go through this so quickly, what I will do here is I'll show you guys a successful clear. And then we'll try and get here again, and I'll see if I can get it to... I'll show you the difference between, like, using the active skill in a different slot and like targeting a physical enemy, right? So slot 2, we target Broly, who is STR, so we hit him, then we hit Ginyu, although we crit anyway. Then we hit Cell, we do 1.7. Is there another physical enemy? Yeah, see, you can see there, we did 1.7 to Cell, but then we did 2.4 to Goku. Well, I guess Goku is a super type, and Extreme does do more damage to super types. But yeah, essentially, the way I understand it is it does more damage, at least after the first enemy. I'm not sure maybe if it does do increased damage to every single enemy, because I seem to have... I feel like I've witnessed that while playing it, but maybe not. But as you can see, I mean, that was what... I mean, I guess I did a lot of waffling, a lot of stalling, but we beat the entire run in like, what, 6 minutes or something? So this is a very fast and very efficient way to get through clears of the World Tournament now. And obviously, if you don't have Piccolo Jr., you just want to run him as a friend, bring a leader that's obviously going to give him the best leader skill. Potentially, like I say, the STR LR Cooler is a good option. And then, yeah, fill the rest of your team with as many LRs as possible. And then in terms of items, obviously you still want to bring the sort of usual suite of items for the World Tournament, which is Ghost Ushers, which of course you can now infinitely buy with Zenny, which is very convenient. I like to bring the Barber item and King Yemma. So if obviously this was before like Ghost Ushers were infinite, so it doesn't really matter now. But rather than use up all of my Ghost Ushers all the time, I used to use a Barber to make sure the enemy can't super attack you, and then use a King Yemma to reduce damage, because then even from these like enemy LRs, if you've made it so they definitely can't super attack you, and you're getting damage reduction from the King Yemma, then obviously there's no way that you're going to die in that turn. So it's essentially giving you the same effect as the Ghost Usher, in the sense that you're really using your items in the World Tournament to just make sure you don't die. And usually it's from a stray super, but you know, if you get especially type disadvantage, normal attacks even from like enemy LRs can do a lot of damage to you. So the goal in the World Tournament when it comes to using your items should always be never get hit. And that's why for a long time back in the day, there was obviously the very popular... I mean, I say back in the day, you still see people using it. Like this guy has them on his team now, or at least he has Jacko. I don't know if he has Chaozu as well, but bringing these SR like Jacko and Chaozu units, like there's Jacko getting blown away. They have the ability where when they appear on the turn for the first time, they stun all the enemies. So people used to run them because then you wouldn't have to use a Ghost Usher, because the goal is to make sure you don't get hit. So what better way to make sure you don't ever get hit than to have a unit that just has an active skill that kills all the enemies. So you never even have to attack. The enemy never gets a chance to attack you. And then the upside is, even if you misplay and one of the enemies survives, because maybe you targeted a physical enemy or something like that, the other effect of Piccolo Jr.'s active skill is that he action breaks all of the enemies. And in the World Tournament, the enemies only ever attack once each. So even if somehow, which I think might be impossible just because of how powerful he is, but even if somehow you did his active skill and it didn't kill any of the 3 enemies that are attacking you in that first turn, it action breaks all of them, so they can't attack you anyway. So he is by far, beyond doubt, the best World Tournament unit in the game now. I mean, the only way they could release a better World Tournament unit now at this point would be to release an LR that has an AoE active skill that you can use on turn 1. Because again, as I've already mentioned, and as you guys probably know at this point, the more LRs you have on your team, the more points you get. So you are losing a little bit of points per run having TURs on your team instead of LRs. But obviously you can see, like, the trade-off is the fact that you're using a unit that is so ridiculously powerful. I mean, the fact that you don't even have to take the risk of attacking is what makes this guy so absolutely incredible. And the thing is as well, I say about like using his active skill in slot 2, not targeting a physical enemy. Even in some of those instances, like if it's the friend one and they have dupes, even in those cases, he can still kill those enemies, especially if he gets crits and stuff, right? So at his worst case scenario, he might not kill everyone, but even sometimes when he's not doing his best, he's still able to kill everyone. So this is a rotation like I talked about. Sometimes you just don't get either of the Piccolos. That's why you want to run other AoE units like the Nappa and Vegeta. Have to pop a Ghost Usher. But in comparison to like the last World Tournament, where I'd be using like a Ghost Usher basically every single fight, is that the first item I've used in the entire video? Actually, no, we had one rotation at the beginning. Well, actually, I think we didn't get attacked in slot 1. So I think that might be the first item I've used in the entire video. And if you've ever watched any of my past like World Tournament streams, the fact that I'm now in the final of the second like playthrough of the World Tournament and I've used one item is not something that you're used to seeing in these scenarios. So, alright, so let me see if I can show you guys the bad turn here from Piccolo Jr. Actually, this is a good example because we don't have we have some support from the Ginyu, but we don't have any links active at all here. So if I was to do this, so this is just the way the rotation has like played out. He's in slot 1. You automatically are targeting the leader of the enemy team as well, which is physical Captain Ginyu. So let's go ahead and use his active skill here. I bet he's going to crit, isn't he? No, see? And there you go. So we do not kill Captain Ginyu. We do not kill Cell. And you can see from the damage that we've been doing up until this point, was it 1.7 we did to the physical the last time I pointed it out? And this time we did less than like 1 mil, which is pretty bad. And of course, the only good thing, like I said, is he does action break all of the enemies. So now I'm just going to throw Majin Vegeta in slot 1. There was enough AGL orbs to get his AoE. And then you see the prompt come up. Yep, Cell can't attack. But the difference is, like, we still killed all the enemies without taking any damage. We actually weren't at risk of taking any damage. But that run took longer because then I had to actually pick up the orbs and super attack. Which, you know, it didn't take a lot longer, but you can see the difference there between those two strategies, right? So, number 1, always put Piccolo Jr. in slot 2 when you use his active skill. And then number 2, make sure you are not targeting a physical enemy. Because you saw every single other run, we didn't target the physical enemy in the final. We killed everybody. And there you go. So Piccolo Jr., absolute mad lad. Make sure you guys are using him for this World Tournament, even if it is just a friend. Make sure your team sort of complements him. I mean, the STR Piccolo, not only is he a good backup AoE, but he does have links with the Piccolo Jr. And the reason why I am running the Roshi is obviously not only is he a free-to-play LR, so he has a team cost of 99, but he is also a World Tournament support unit, so he directly supports Piccolo Jr. So this is the team that I've been using. I haven't been playing it like crazy, but I'm, you know, going for top 2,000 overall. I've almost broken back into the top 1,000. I will be streaming some World Tournament today, a little bit later after this video goes up. I also have a very big announcement to make on that stream as well, so make sure you come by. I will be posting it on all of my socials later as well, so if you missed the stream, you will still obviously get to hear the big announcement, but it's going to be pretty interesting. It's going to be some pretty fun times coming up very soon, so make sure you guys are subscribed, hit that bell button so you know when I go live. Follow me on Twitter, join the Discord, all that stuff. I always post everywhere when I'm going to be streaming. Probably will do a good old streaming session for the World Tournament this afternoon, so hopefully I will see you guys there. But let me know how you've been getting on. What team have you been using? Have you been pushing for any particular rank, or are you just getting your missions like points and then getting out of there? Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments section. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.